was this strange trend in early 80s home consoles. It wasn't enough that you had a system that could play the latest arcade hits. They also had to prove to parents that they were serious machines that could be used for more than just those things that kids put the quarters or 100 yen coins into. So a lot of the libraries wound up getting filled out with traditional games. The Atari 2600, for example, had a surprisingly impressive chess game for a console that could barely run anything. Nichibutsu, a company that we're going to be seeing quite a bit of as I go through this project, released a console dedicated to these traditional games, emphasizing that it could play Mahjong. Sega, on the other hand, released a variation on the SG-1000 as a dedicated Othello machine. Nintendo didn't wind up going down that route very much themselves. They only released games based on two different traditional games, Mahjong and Gomoku. We'll get to Mahjong next time because it's kind of important. Gomoku Narabe is that game's overlooked little brother. The name means 5 in a row in Japanese, and that tells you the basic rules of the game. Players alternate placing go stones down at intersections on a go board, and the goal is to be the first player to score 5 in a row. Now, if you know anything about game theory, you know that the first player in this type of game has an enormous advantage. Gomoku Narabe takes care of this by placing restrictions on the first player. The first player is always black, which is as it is in Go. The black player may not place a stone so that there are 2 sections where there are 3 stones in a row. They also cannot do this with 4 stones, and they can't place a stone so that there is 6 in a row. If you do any of this while you are the black player, it's an automatic game over. But going for these moves is an excellent play as a white player. Let's talk strategy. Ideally, you want to get an open-ended 4 in a row. That is 4 stones placed in a row with no stone blocking either side. The other player can block one side of it, but not the other, giving you the 5 in a row. Practically speaking, this is the only real way to win as the black player. The white player is free of restrictions on multiple threats, and so if you can place a stone so that there are 2 open-ended 3 in a rows, the other player won't be able to close them all off before you complete a 5 in a row. There is a momentum in the game. If you can force the other player to constantly react to your threats, then you'll probably do better. If you're forced on the defensive, though, keep an eye out for opportunities to place stones near each other. When you eventually can place stones freely, you'll have more opportunities to get momentum. The Famicom game has 3 difficulty settings, a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I didn't really notice the beginner setting making a lot of mistakes, though. It's not a freebie, anyone can win difficulty. The computer plays equally well on the intermediate and advanced difficulties. The advanced difficulty adds a game time clock, though, that starts at 90 seconds and ticks down whenever you're making a move. Matches are done in batches of 6, with each player alternating between being the white and black player. I can get why this was chosen as one of the first Famicom games. Traditional game, so there's no need to license it. But also, the AI is very simple. It's not a strain on the Famicom hardware to play this, even on the advanced level. Surprisingly, this game also got a re-release. The box art isn't much to look at, but they applied it to the label. And that's really all there is to say about Gomoku Narabe. It's fine. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. But if you're curious and you want to play this game, I actually don't recommend the Famicom one. There's a Game Boy version of this game called Taikyoku Renju Gomoku Narabe. It plays a bit smoother, But the real advantage is the game's entirely in English, despite only ever being released in Japan. We'll actually see some Go games as I go through the Famicom library, but this is the only Gomoku game. It gives it kind of a weird place in history, especially since it's one of the few traditional games that were released by Nintendo themselves.